with our friend JP Morosi.
We bet on that one.
Instead, we'll talk about the starting pitching market as it stands. And, we know what's out there on the free agent market. Bauer, Odorizzi, we document that almost daily on this program, JP. Let's talk about those that might be available via trade. And is there a chance that a time date stamp on a starting pitcher trade deal could happen in 2020?
Yes, there is, Matt and Harold. A decent chance that we will see a significant starting pitching trade before the new year begins. And one name that I think we should focus on in that regard, Joe Musgrove of the Pittsburgh Pirates. He had a pretty good season this past year. People have always loved his arm around the game. Of course, he was traded a couple times already from Toronto to Houston, Houston to Pittsburgh. And he really seems to be coming into his form with teams like the Angels, the Red Sox, and the Blue Jays all being possibilities for him here this winter. Interestingly, there was a report back in the month of September that there was a deal that almost happened between the Blue Jays and the Pirates on Musgrove. And notably, remember, the front offices there know each other very, very well, with Ben Cherington now running the Pittsburgh Pirates. So when you consider the front office connections and how well they know each other, how well Ben Cherington knows the Toronto Blue Jays prospects, it's a deal that could easily come together in the span of one phone call if both sides are so inclined. So stay tuned there on Joe Musgrove. Also, Sonny Gray with the Reds. We've already seen Cincinnati be somewhat active this winter with trades and players going out. Of course, he is a high-end all-star pitcher, Harold. Very, very well said. You consider what the Reds have already done with Raisel Iglesias going to the Angels, Archie Bradley being non-tendered. Sonny Gray is someone who obviously has had a ton of potential. He has been. Yes, there we go. I mean, very close in terms of their overall ERAs. I like that. I mean, think about that, Harold. Well done calling for the full screen, Harold Reynolds, on that one. Almost identical ERAs in some respects. Almost identical whip. Very close. So two pitchers who I think are getting a lot of interest out there. I don't think that Gray is as close to being dealt as Musgrove is right now, but I think we have to keep an eye on that one and see how things unfold there for two pitchers from the National League Central here. As we have a Midwest theme to my first topic of the day.
Shocking. I like the idea of going to get Joe Musgrove, man. You're buying low on a guy that's got big upside there.
I think the Angels have to be in on every pitching trade.
I would agree. I would agree with that. Hey, so from who might be available in the trade market to who might be available to pitch after injuries marred their 2020 campaign. And let's start with Corey Kluber, the two-time Cy Young Award winner, who really never got on track as a Ranger.
Right, and actually he is supposed to throw for teams, we expect, Matt, in the month of January, according to Rob Bradford of WEEI in Boston. Of course, Kluber makes his home in Greater Boston. I have long believed and been told that there is some interest there from the Boston Red Sox to have Corey Kluber stay in Greater Boston and have that be his baseball home for 2021. Coming back from injury, you see it there, what he has done at his peak there from 2014 to 2018, but of course basically it was just a one-start season for him in 2020 with that teres major strain in his shoulder back area. But he seems to be doing better. Again, all indications from Rob Bradford are that he will be on the mound throwing for teams next month. The question there is, how long can the Red Sox wait if they're in fact the front runners to sign Kluber, to wait on him before they can really get their eyes on him and see how he looks? And will other options fall by the wayside? Jon Morosi written about that as well there in Boston too. So there's a lot of different, I think, thoughts for them to have as they sequence their different options right now for the Boston Red Sox. But as Harold points out, teams like the Angels have to be in on everybody. I would suspect they're also in on Corey Kluber. And the Red Sox, when you think about their rotation overall, and we'll get to Chris Sale in a moment, I think there is a lot of interest from the Red Sox in Corey Kluber and in general, finding ways on maybe some bounce-back candidates to upgrade their rotation there for 2021.
You know, I think Corey Kluber's got it was so enlightening with Kyle Gibson yesterday talking about why he chose the team he went to for health reasons. I think the same thing with Kluber, that he's got a medical staff that works with him in Boston, in that area, that's kept him healthy. It seems like when he leaves home, we've watched the workouts he does in the winter, he's healthy, he leaves. I think he just play with the Red Sox, stay healthy, for a year, see what happens. You're around your people, get you through a year, and then you go.
And, you could be buying low on a guy like Corey Kluber if you're the Red Sox, and they have to uncover every single asset under every single rock they can come up with, because that staff was historically challenged last year. But let's talk a little further about the Red Sox staff, JP, and you mentioned Chris Sale. What's his timeline for 2021?
Well, Brian O'Halloran, the Red Sox GM, said this week on MLB Network Radio that they expect he is going to be available, Chris Sale, by the middle of this season, by the middle of this year, let's say, somewhere around the June, July timetable. Of course, he had his Tommy John surgery at the end of March. So when you consider a 14 to 15-month recovery timetable, that puts him right around the middle of the year. So I think that's right now what the Red Sox are expecting. But to your point, it's not just a healthy return for Chris Sale. They've got to have Eovaldi pitching at a high level, and they certainly need to have Tanner Houck coming in and pitching well as he did in a short look in 2020. And then the big question, Eduardo Rodriguez, and it does appear that, fortunately, and everybody's excited about this news, that Eduardo is healthy after, of course, not being able to pitch in 2020 for health reasons, that they expect he's going to be back in the rotation in 2021 for the Boston Red Sox. So that's where certainly a lot of things have to go right for Boston to contend in a very competitive AL East, as it always is. And I don't think anybody expects Chris Sale to be ready by April or May, but it does look like mid-season. Brian O'Halloran saying that things have gone according to plan with Chris Sale. So very good news on a pitcher the Red Sox need to have to compete, I believe, in 2021.
Yeah, potentially good news for the Red Sox indeed, and intriguing stuff with Corey Kluber maybe being interested there as well.